The coffee pot slipped from her trembling hands and shattered on the floor. Maya didn't even notice. She was leaning so close to the biker's ear that her tears fell onto his leather vest. "He's going to kill me tonight. I know it. His car is blocking the bus stop. Please, I've begged the police. I've begged my boss. Nobody believes me. Nobody." The Hell's Angel looked up. Not at her. Past her. Straight at the man in booth 9 who had been stalking her for 3 weeks. Then he stood. And the man in booth 9 stopped smiling. Subscribe now. Drop your city below. And don't look away, because what happened next will restore your faith in humanity. Maya Johnson had worked the evening shift at Rosie's Diner for 3 years. 3 years of coffee refills and chicken fried steak. 3 years of regulars who knew her name, knew she was putting herself through college, knew she dreamed of becoming a kindergarten teacher someday. She was 23 years old. Tired eyes, worn sneakers, a smile that could make anyone's bad day a little better. "You're too good for this place," old Carl told her every Thursday from booth 3. "You remember that." Maya would laugh, top off his coffee, and say the same thing every time. "This place is good enough for me right now, Mr. Carl. Right now is all I got." That was the thing about Maya. She didn't complain. She worked 5 nights a week at the diner, caught the last bus home at midnight, woke up at 6 for her other job at a dry cleaner 2 towns over. She was surviving. Barely. But surviving. And then he walked in. It was a Tuesday night in early November. The dinner rush had died down around 8. Maya was wiping down the counter when the bell above the door chimed. She looked up ready with her usual greeting. The man didn't look at her. Didn't look at the menu board. Didn't glance around the way first-time customers always did. He walked straight to booth 9. The back corner. Clear view of the entire diner. And he sat down facing the room. Facing her. Maya grabbed a menu and a glass of water. "Evening. Welcome to Rosie's. What can I get started for you?" "Coffee," he said. Flat voice, flat eyes. "Black and a burger, medium." "You got it." She wrote it down even though she didn't need to. Something about him made her want to look busy, made her want to walk away faster than she normally would. When she glanced back from the counter, he was watching her. Not the menu. Not the window. Her. Maya poured his coffee. Brought it over. Set it down with a smile that felt harder to hold than usual. "Food'll be up in about 10 minutes. He didn't respond. She walked away. For the next 5 hours, he sat in that booth. Ordered nothing else. Nursed 3 cups of coffee until they went cold. And every single time, Maya looked his way. He was watching. At midnight, when her shift ended, he stood up. Left exact change on the table. No tip. And walked out into the parking lot. Maya didn't think much of it. Strange customers came through all the time. Truckers. Loners. People who didn't want conversation. She locked up the diner, said goodnight to Miguel in the kitchen, and started walking toward the bus stop on Route 44. It was only 100 yards. She'd walked it 500 times before. But tonight, something made her look over her shoulder. A dark blue sedan was sitting at the edge of the parking lot. Headlights off. Engine running. Maya walked faster. The car started moving. Slow. Crawling along the shoulder behind her. 20 feet back. Close enough that she could hear the engine. Far enough that it could have been coincidence. Her heart was pounding by the time she reached the bus stop. She stood under the streetlight, hands shaking, refusing to look back. The sedan pulled into the gas station across the street. Parked, engine still running. She could see him behind the wheel, just sitting there, watching. The bus came. Maya got on, fumbled her fare, found a seat. When she looked through the rear window, the sedan was pulling out, following. It stayed behind the bus for 3 stops before finally turning off onto a side road. Maya didn't sleep that night. "Dennis, I need to talk to you." It was the next morning. Maya had come in early before her shift, before anyone else was there. Her manager was in the back office doing paperwork. "What is it now?" Dennis didn't look up. "There's this customer. He came in last night, sat in booth 9 for 5 hours, just watched me, the whole time." "Watched you?" "Yes. And then when I left, his car was in the parking lot. He followed me to the bus stop, followed the bus." Dennis finally looked up. His expression was somewhere between annoyed and bored. "Did he say anything to you?" "No." "Did he touch you?" "No, but did he threaten you?" "Dennis, he followed me." Dennis sighed, the kind of sigh that said she was wasting his time. "Maya, listen. He's a paying customer. I can't ban someone for looking. If he comes back, just ignore him. Do your job, don't make eye contact. He'll get bored and move on. And if he doesn't, then we'll deal with it then. Okay? I've got payroll to finish." Maya stood there for a long moment, waiting for something more, something that said her fear mattered. Dennis went back to his paperwork. "Close the door on your way out." He came back on Friday. Different booth this time. Booth 5. Closer to the counter. Same routine. Coffee. Burger. Hours of sitting. And watching. Maya tried to follow Dennis's advice. Don't make eye contact. Stay busy. He'll get bored. He didn't get bored. He came back Monday, Wednesday, Friday, again. By the second week, Maya knew his pattern better than she knew her class schedule. He arrived around 7. Always alone. Always ordered the same thing. Always stayed until her shift ended at midnight. And every night when she walked to the bus stop, his car was waiting. Not at the edge of the lot anymore. Closer now. Bolder. On the 3rd Friday, he parked directly under the streetlight in front of the bus stop. Maya's hands were shaking so badly she dropped her keys trying to lock the diner door. She called her mother that night. "Baby, you need to go to the police. And tell them what Mama A man's eating dinner at my work. A man's parked in a public parking lot. Tell them you're scared." "Scared isn't illegal, Mama. He hasn't done anything. Not technically." Her mother was quiet for a long moment. "You call your brother. Have him pick you up from work. Darnell's working nights now. He can't. Then quit. Find another job." "Mama, I can't quit. I need this job. I need the money for school. I'm so close to finishing. I can't throw away everything because some man is—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Because what was he doing exactly? Nothing. Everything. Maya filed a police report on the 3rd week. She sat in the station for 2 hours, filling out forms, answering questions, trying to explain something she couldn't even explain to herself. The officer was polite, professional, even sympathetic. "Miss Johnson, I understand you're frightened. I really do. But I have to be honest with you. He hasn't threatened you directly, hasn't touched you, hasn't even spoken to you beyond placing an order. Technically, he's not breaking any laws. He's following me. Is he? Or is he a regular customer at a public restaurant who happens to leave at the same time you do? He parks at my bus stop. Public street, legal parking." Maya felt something crack inside her chest, not her heart that was already breaking. Something deeper, something that had believed foolishly that the system would protect her. "So what do I do?" The officer closed his notebook. His face said he wished he had a better answer. "Document everything. Dates, times, descriptions. If he escalates, if he makes contact, threatens you, tries to approach you, call us immediately. We'll be able to act then." Then, after he does something, "I'm sorry, Miss Johnson. That's how the law works. We can't arrest someone for what they might do, only for what they've done." Maya walked out of that station knowing something had shifted. She was on her own. The next Tuesday, Maya noticed something different. There was a new customer in the diner, Booth 7, by himself. Big man, gray in his beard, leather vest with patches she recognized but didn't really understand. The kind of man her grandmother would have told her to stay away from. A Hell's Angel. He ordered meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Ate quietly. Minded his own business. But Maya noticed something. When she walked past Booth 9, past the man who'd been watching her for 3 weeks, the biker in Booth 7 looked up. Not at her. At him. Just for a second. Just a glance. Then back to his meatloaf. Maya told herself it meant nothing. Coincidence. Paranoia. She was seeing threats everywhere now, why not see saviors too? The biker finished his meal, left a good tip, walked out. She forgot about him. Wednesday night was worse. The man in Booth 9, she still didn't know his name, was agitated, restless. His leg bounced under the table. He kept checking his phone, typing something, deleting it, typing again. He barely touched his food. And he wasn't just watching Maya anymore. He was tracking her. Every time she moved, his head turned. Every time she laughed at something old Carl said, his jaw tightened. Every time she disappeared into the kitchen, his eyes stayed fixed on the door until she came back out. At 10 o'clock, he got up and went to the bathroom. Maya rushed to the window. His car wasn't at the edge of the lot anymore. It was parked directly in front of the bus stop, blocking it. Her stomach dropped so hard she thought she might be sick. This was different. This was escalation. This was him saying, "You can't get away." She had 3 hours left on her shift. 3 hours to figure out what to do. The biker came back. Same booth, Booth 7, same order. Meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Maya watched him eat, watched how calm he was, how steady. She thought about what her grandmother used to say. Sometimes the devil you know is safer than the devil you don't. But what about when you don't know either one? The man in Booth 9 came back from the bathroom, sat down, resumed his watching. But now he was watching the biker too, and smiling. A slow, confident smile. Like he'd already won something. Maya's hands were shaking when she picked up the coffee pot. She walked toward Booth 7. "Refill?" The biker looked up. His eyes were calm, steady. Nothing like the other man's dead stare. "Sure." She poured. Her hand trembled. Coffee splashed on the saucer. "Sorry, I'm sorry. No harm done." She should have walked away, should have kept her head down, should have done what Dennis said, ignored it all until it went away, or until it killed her. But something broke in Maya Johnson at that moment. 3 weeks of fear. 3 weeks of being watched. 3 weeks of being told her terror wasn't enough proof of anything. She leaned down. Her voice came out as a whisper. Cracked. Desperate. "Please, I'm so sorry to bother you. But that man over there, Booth 9, he won't stop following me. He's been coming here for 3 weeks. He waits for me. Follows me to the bus. His car is out there right now blocking the bus stop. I told the police. I told my manager. Nobody will help me." She was crying now. She couldn't help it. "Please, I don't know what else to do." The biker Dean was his name, though Maya didn't know that yet, set down his fork. He didn't ask questions. He didn't tell her to calm down. He didn't say she was overreacting. He just looked at her. really looked at her, the way nobody had looked at her in 3 weeks, like he believed her. Then his eyes shifted. Past Maya, to booth 9. The man was still smiling. Dean looked at him for a long moment. No expression on his face, no anger, no threat, just acknowledgement. Then he looked back at Maya. "What's your name?" "Maya. Maya Johnson." "Maya, I want you to go back behind the counter. Stay there. Don't leave the diner until I come get you. Understand?" She nodded. Didn't trust her voice. Everything's going to be okay. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. She walked back to the counter, on legs that felt like they might collapse. And then Dean Bear Thompson stood up. The diner went quiet. Not the normal quiet of a slow Tuesday night. A different kind of quiet. Heavy. Electric. The elderly couple in booth 2 looked up from their pie. The truck driver at the counter stopped mid-sip. Even Miguel poked his head out from the kitchen. Dean walked across the diner. Slow, deliberate. Each step landing with purpose. He reached booth 9. The man was still smiling, still confident. "Can I help you with something?" Dean didn't answer. He simply sat down, across from the man, folded his hands on the table, and waited. The man's smile flickered, just for a second. "I don't know who you think you are, but this is a public restaurant. I'm a paying customer. You can't just, David." One word. The man's smile died. "How do you know my David Keeler, 34 years old? Albany, New York, 2019. The color started draining from the man's face. "Jessica Moreno filed a restraining order against you. Said you followed her for 2 months after she turned you down for a second date. Showed up at her work, her gym, her mother's house. I don't know what your..." "Portland, Oregon, 2021. Emily Chen. Filed stalking charges. Dropped them 3 weeks later. Right about the time you moved out of state." The man David was white now. Paper white. "That information isn't public. You couldn't possibly..." "There's a third one, too. Seattle. She never filed anything. Too scared. But we know about her. We know about all of them." David's hands were shaking. "Who are you?" Dean leaned forward. "I'm the man who's going to give you a choice, David. And you're going to listen very carefully. Because the next 10 minutes are going to determine the entire rest of your life." The diner door opened. The little bell chimed, cheerful, absurd given what was happening. 2 more men walked in. Leather vests. Same patches as Dean. They didn't say a word. They walked to booth 9 and sat down on either side of where David was sitting, blocking him in. The elderly couple put money on their table and left without looking back. The truck driver suddenly remembered he was running late. Within 60 seconds, the diner was empty, except for Maya behind the counter, Miguel in the kitchen doorway, and the 4 men in booth 9. David's confidence was gone now, replaced by something raw, cornered. "This is illegal. This is harassment. I'll call the police. Dean reached into his vest. David flinched like he expected a weapon. Instead, Dean pulled out a phone. "Go ahead. Call them. Tell them exactly why you're here. Tell them about Jessica. Tell them about Emily. Tell them about the woman you've been stalking for 3 weeks." He set the phone on the table. "I'll wait." David didn't touch it. "What do you want from me?" Dean's voice was quiet, controlled, more terrifying than any shout could have been. "I want you to understand something, David. This night ends one of 2 ways, and you're going to choose which one." Maya stood behind the counter, heart pounding, watching something she didn't fully understand. Who were these men? What did they know about her stalker that she didn't? How did they know his name, his history, his pattern, and why? Why were they helping her? She thought about every time someone had told her she was overreacting, every time someone said there was nothing they could do, every time she'd felt invisible, unprotected, alone. And now here were 3 men she'd never met, standing up for her, when nobody else would. David Keeler was shaking now, visibly shaking. You can't prove anything. None of this would hold up in court. You have no right to court. Dean almost laughed. David, this isn't going to court. This ends tonight, one way or another. Is that a threat? Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a choice, something the women you terrorized never had. Dean leaned back. Choice 1 is simple. You leave, right now. You get in your car. You drive away. You never come back to this diner. You never contact Maya. You never follow her. You move out of this area within 30 days. David's eyes darted to the door. And then what? You just let me go. Not exactly. We keep watching you. Forever. The network doesn't forget. You approach another woman the way you approached Maya, the way you approached Jessica, Emily, all the others, and we'll know. And next time there won't be a conversation. David swallowed hard. And choice 2. Dean was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost sad. Choice 2 is harder. It takes courage you probably don't have, but it's the only choice that actually fixes anything. He reached into his vest again, pulled out a tablet, set it on the table. Choice 2 is you face what you've done, not in court. Face to face with the women you hurt. You admit it. You apologize. You mean it. And then you get help. David stared at the tablet like it was a snake. You're insane. You think I'm going to confess on camera? I think you've spent years hurting women because nobody ever stopped you. I think you tell yourself it's not that bad, that you're just persistent, that they're overreacting. Dean tapped the screen. It lit up. 2 faces appeared. Split screen. Video call. A woman with dark hair. Glasses. Reserved expression. A woman with lighter hair. Nervous, but determined. David stopped breathing. Jessica Moreno, Dean said. Emily Chen. They've been waiting for this moment for years, David. They want to talk to you. They want you to hear what you did to their lives. Maya watched from behind the counter. She couldn't hear what was being said in booth 9, but she could see David's face, the color draining, the confidence crumbling, something breaking behind his eyes. And then he started crying. Not fake tears, not manipulation, real ugly broken crying. Maya had imagined this moment 100 times over the past 3 weeks. What would happen if someone finally confronted him? What would happen if he faced consequences? She'd imagined anger, violence, denial. She'd never imagined this. A man falling apart. I'm scared. David's voice was barely audible. Cracked, like something he'd never admitted out loud. I'm always scared that I'm not good enough, that nobody will ever want me. And when someone is nice to me, when they smile, when they laugh at something I say, I convince myself it means more than it does. He was talking to the women on the screen now. Jessica and Emily. And when they make it clear they don't want me, it feels like they're saying I'm worthless, and I can't handle that. So I keep trying, keep showing up, because if I can just make them see... He stopped, looked at Jessica's face. I told myself I was being romantic, persistent, showing you how much I cared. His voice broke. But I wasn't. I was terrorizing you. I knew it then. I know it now. I just couldn't stop. Emily's voice came through the tablet speaker. Do you understand what you did to my life, the panic attacks? The way I check every car in every parking lot, the way I can't trust anyone anymore? I understand, David whispered. I stole your peace, your safety. Nothing I say can give that back. He looked at Dean. I want help. I want to stop being this person. I want to try. It was past 1 a.m. when they finally let him go. David Keeler walked out of Rosie's diner a different man than the one who'd walked in. Broken. Exposed. But given something no one had ever given him before, a chance to change. Dean's brothers followed him to make sure he actually left. And then it was just Dean and Maya. Standing in the empty diner. She didn't know what to say. Thank you seemed too small. She stopped, started again. I don't understand. Why did you help me? You don't know me. No, you don't owe me anything. Dean was quiet for a moment. My sister, he finally said. 20 years ago. Same thing happened to her. She reported it. They told her she was overreacting. Told her to be careful. Told her to wait until he did something. His jaw tightened. He did something all right. Broke into her apartment. She almost didn't survive. Maya felt her heart crack. I wasn't there. I was overseas. Couldn't protect her. By the time I got home, she had 3 scars on her arm and nightmares that lasted years. He looked at Maya. I made a promise that night. Never again. Not to anyone. If I ever saw a woman being failed by everyone who should have protected her, I'd stand up. You stood up. I wasn't going to let what happened to Linda happen to you. They walked out together. Dean's motorcycle was parked near the diner entrance. His brothers had returned, waiting nearby. Let me give you a ride home. Maya hesitated. Old habits, old fears. We'll follow behind the bus. Make sure you get home safe. That's all. She nodded. Because for the first time in 3 weeks, she felt something she thought she'd forgotten. Safe. The bus came at 1:15. Maya got on. 3 motorcycles followed behind it all the way to her apartment building. She got off at her stop, walked to her door, turned back. Dean raised a hand. She raised hers. And the engines faded into the night. Maya locked her door, walked to her window, looked out at the empty street. No dark blue sedan, no shadow watching. Just quiet. She stood there for a long time, thinking about what had happened. About the biker who'd stood up when no one else would. About the women on that tablet screen who'd faced their monster. About a system that told her fear wasn't proof. About a stranger who'd said 3 words that changed everything. I believe you. Maya Johnson didn't sleep that night either. But this time it wasn't fear keeping her awake. It was something else. Something that felt almost like hope. The silence in the diner was suffocating. Maya stood frozen behind the counter, broken glass and coffee pooling at her feet. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Every nerve in her body was screaming at her to run, but her legs wouldn't obey. Dean walked toward booth 9 like time had slowed down just for him. Each step deliberate. Each step inevitable. The 2 bikers who'd entered moments before flanked him on either side, moving in perfect sync without a word spoken. David Keeler's smile had vanished the moment Dean stood up. Now his eyes were darting between the 3 men approaching him, calculating, measuring, searching for an exit that didn't exist. You need to back off. David's voice came out higher than he intended. I don't know who you think you are, but I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just eating dinner. Dean didn't respond. He reached the booth and stood there towering over the seated man, his shadow falling across the table like a verdict. Did you hear me? I said back off. This is harassment. I'll call the police. Go ahead. 2 words. Quiet. Certain. Dean slid into the booth across from David. The vinyl squeaked under his weight. He folded his hands on the table knuckles, scarred from years of hard living, and simply looked at the man who had been terrorizing Maya for 3 weeks. The 2 other bikers positioned themselves at either end of the booth, not threatening, not aggressive, just there. Walls of leather and muscle blocking any escape. David's bravado cracked. What do you want, Money? Is this some kind of shakedown? Because I swear to God, I'll... David. The name landed like a slap. David's mouth stopped moving. His face went pale. How do you know my name? Dean tilted his head slightly. David Keeler, 34 years old. You grew up in Rochester. Moved to Albany in 2018. Worked at a car dealership until they fired you for making female customers uncomfortable. That's not. I was wrongfully terminated. Those accusations were Jessica Moreno. David stopped talking. You met her at a bar in Albany, asked her out. She said yes to 1 date. 1. And when she told you she wasn't interested in a second, you couldn't accept it. Dean's voice was steady, almost conversational, like he was reading from a grocery list instead of dismantling a man's entire hidden history. You followed her for 2 months. Showed up at her work, her gym, her mother's house. She filed a restraining order in March 2019. That was a misunderstanding. She overreacted. I was just trying to... Emily Chen, Portland, 2021. David's hands started shaking. You moved across the country to start fresh. Found Emily at a coffee shop. Same pattern. Same obsession. She filed stalking charges in September. She dropped those charges. That proves... She dropped them because you found out where her sister lived, where her sister's children went to school. David's face went from pale to gray. How could you possibly know that... Dean leaned forward, just slightly. But in that small movement, something shifted in the air between them. There's a 3rd woman, too. Seattle. You never learned her name, did you? She was just a waitress at a restaurant you liked. Pretty smile, friendly, made you feel special. David's breathing was shallow now. Rapid. She quit her job and moved to another state to get away from you. Didn't file a report because she'd seen what happened to Jessica and Emily. She knew the system wouldn't protect her. You're making this up. This is some kind of setup. You can't prove any of this. Dean reached into his vest. David flinched backward, slamming against the booth seat, but Dean didn't pull out a weapon. He pulled out a phone. I don't need to prove anything, David. I'm not a cop. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a man who made a promise a long time ago. He set the phone on the table. Call them. The police. Tell them everything. Tell them why you're really here. Tell them about that car parked in front of the bus stop. David stared at the phone like it was a loaded gun. Tell them about the 3 weeks you've spent watching Maya, following her to the bus, following the bus to see where she lives. We have photos, David. Dates, times, license plate. We know exactly what you've been doing and exactly what you were planning to do tonight. Maya heard those words from across the diner and felt something shift inside her chest. 3 weeks of being told she was paranoid. 3 weeks of being told there was no proof. And here was this stranger laying out evidence she didn't even know existed. David's eyes were wild now. Cornered animal. Dangerous. Who are you people? How do you know all this? You've been following me. We've been watching you, Dean said. The way you watch women. The difference is we're not planning to hurt you. Then what do you want? I want you to listen. Because in the next 10 minutes, you're going to make a choice that determines everything. Miguel had come out of the kitchen and was standing beside Maya now. His hand was on her shoulder. Steady. Grounding. "You okay?" he whispered. Maya couldn't answer. She couldn't tear her eyes away from booth 9. "This is insane," David said, but his voice had lost all its edge. He sounded scared now, genuinely scared. "You can't just— this isn't legal. None of this is legal." "Legal?" Dean almost laughed. "You want to talk about legal?" Maya went to the police, told them a man was following her, watching her, making her feel unsafe in her own workplace. You know what they told her? David didn't answer. They told her you hadn't broken any laws, that she should document everything and call back if you escalated. If you escalated, like they were waiting for you to hurt her before they'd lift a finger. I wasn't going to hurt her. Then why is your car blocking her bus stop right now? Silence. Why did you park in the shadows for 2 weeks and then suddenly move to the most visible spot in the lot? Why are you agitated tonight, checking your phone every 5 seconds? What were you typing, David? What were you planning? David's hands were flat on the table now, pressed down like he was trying to stop them from shaking. You don't understand. I just wanted to talk to her. I just wanted her to see me, really see me. Everyone always looks right through me. But she smiled at me. The first night I came in, she smiled and asked about my day. Nobody does that. Nobody— His voice cracked. I just wanted her to know I existed. Maya felt sick. 3 weeks of terror. 3 weeks of looking over her shoulder. 3 weeks of losing sleep, losing weight, losing her sense of safety in her own skin. And this was why. Because she smiled. Because she did her job and made a customer feel welcome. Dean's expression didn't change. No sympathy, no disgust. Just that same steady, measured look. You wanted her to see you. And because of that, she hasn't slept in 3 weeks. She's afraid to walk to her bus stop. She's afraid to go to work. She's afraid of shadows and parking lots and any car that looks like yours. I didn't mean to. You never mean to. That's what you tell yourself, isn't it? You're not a bad guy. You're just persistent, romantic, misunderstood. Dean's voice hardened. Jessica Moreno changed her phone number 3 times because of you. Emily Chen had panic attacks for 2 years. The woman in Seattle still can't work in restaurants because she's afraid someone like you will walk in. You tell yourself stories about how it's not that bad, how they're overreacting, how if they just gave you a chance. He stopped. Let the silence hang. But they did give you chances, David. They gave you their smiles, their kindness, their basic human decency, and you twisted it into something it was never meant to be. You took their warmth and made it a weapon against them. David was crying now. Quiet tears running down his face. Not the manipulative tears Maya had seen from men trying to get out of consequences. These were different. These looked real. What do you want from me? David's voice was barely a whisper. What am I supposed to do? I don't know how to be different. I've tried to stop. But when I see someone who's kind to me, when I feel that connection, I can't just walk away. I can't. That's why you're getting a choice tonight. Dean reached into his vest again. This time he pulled out a tablet. Choice 1 is simple. You leave. Right now. You get in your car, you drive away. You move out of this area within 30 days. And you understand that we'll be watching you forever. You slip up anywhere with any woman and we'll know. And there won't be another conversation. David wiped his face with the back of his hand. And choice 2. Choice 2 is harder. It requires something you might not have. Courage. Honesty. The willingness to look at what you've done and actually face it. Dean tapped the tablet screen. It lit up. 2 faces appeared. A video call. Split screen. Maya couldn't see the screen from where she was standing, but she saw David's reaction. His face went white, pure white, like every drop of blood had drained out of him. "No," he shook his head, pushed back against the booth. "No, I can't. You can't make me—" "Jessica Moreno," Dean said. "Emily Chen. They've been waiting for this moment for 5 years, David. They want to talk to you. They want you to hear what you did to their lives." "I can't face them. I can't." "You faced them every day for months when you were following them. You watched them through windows, sat outside their homes, made them afraid to leave their own front doors. But now when they want to look you in the eye and tell you the truth, you can't handle it." David was hyperventilating, short, rapid breaths, his chest heaving. "I'm not a monster. I'm not. I just wanted—" "Then prove it." Dean's voice cut through the panic. "Prove you're not a monster. Look at them. Listen to them. Admit what you did. Apologize. Mean it. And then you get help, real help. Therapy, treatment. You check in every week for 2 years. You prove that you're changing. And if you complete the program without any incidents, what happens? We delete the recording. You walk away, clean slate, a chance to actually become someone different." David stared at the tablet, at the 2 faces waiting on the screen. His whole body was trembling. "And if I don't, if you refuse, or if you take choice to and fail, the recording goes everywhere, David. Every police department in every city you've lived, social media, news outlets, your face, your name, your confession, everywhere. You'll never be able to hide again. You'll never be able to start over in a new town with a new target. Everyone will know exactly what you are." The diner was completely silent. Maya realized she was holding her breath. David Keeler sat in that booth, surrounded by 3 men who could have destroyed him in 100 different ways, and for the first time in his life, he had no escape. No new city to run to. No new identity to hide behind. No system that would protect him while failing his victims. Just a choice. And the women waiting on that screen to hear what he would decide. "Can I—" David's voice cracked. "Can I have a minute? I just need a minute to—" "No." Dean's voice was firm. "You don't get a minute. You don't get to think about it. You don't get to calculate which option is easier. You decide right now. That's how this works." 3 weeks. You made Maya wait 3 weeks wondering if tonight was the night you'd finally do whatever you were building up to. She didn't get to decide when her fear ended. Neither do you. David closed his eyes. Maya watched his face. The struggle written across every feature. The war happening inside a man who had never been forced to truly look at himself. When he opened his eyes, something had changed. "Choice 2, he whispered. "I'll do it. I'll talk to them." Dean nodded once. He turned the tablet so the screen faced David fully. And for the next 45 minutes, Maya watched the man who had stolen her peace fall completely apart. Jessica Moreno spoke first. Her voice was steady, but Maya could hear the years of pain underneath every word. "Hello, David. Do you remember me? Do you remember showing up at my mother's house on her birthday? She thought you were a delivery person until you asked if I was home. My 63-year-old mother was so scared she didn't leave her house for a week." David couldn't look at the screen. "Look at me," Jessica said. "You watched me for months. The least you can do is look at me now." He raised his eyes. "I was 26 years old. I had my whole life ahead of me. And after you, I couldn't sleep without the lights on. Couldn't date anyone for 3 years because every man who showed interest felt like a threat. I spent thousands of dollars on therapy trying to undo what you did to my head." "I'm sorry." David's voice was broken. "I'm so sorry. I didn't understand." "You didn't want to understand. There's a difference." Emily Chen spoke next, younger than Jessica. Softer voice, but there was steel underneath it. I dropped those charges because you sent me a picture of my nephew at his bus stop. 8 years old, David. You used an 8-year-old child to frighten me into silence. Do you remember that?" David was sobbing now. Ugly, broken sobs. "I never would have hurt him. I just wanted you to stop, to give me another chance. I thought if the legal stuff went away, you thought you could start over, keep pursuing me, make me love you. I thought if you got to know me, I knew you. I knew you were someone who would threaten a child to get what he wanted. That's who you are, David. That's who you've been. I don't want to be that person anymore." "Then don't be." Emily's voice softened, just slightly. "That's why we're here. Not for revenge. Not to see you suffer. We're here because we want this to stop. Not just with us. With everyone. Every woman you might have targeted in the future. We want you to get help. Real help. Not because we forgive you, I don't know if I can ever forgive you, but because we don't want anyone else to go through what we went through." David wiped his face. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely manage it. "I'll do it. Whatever you want. The therapy, the check-ins, all of it. I swear to God I'll do it." "Don't swear to God," Jessica said. "Swear to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who can change this. We can put systems in place. We can watch you. We can hold you accountable. But if you don't actually want to be different, I do want to be different. Then prove it, not with words. Words are easy. Prove it with 2 years of action, 2 years of showing up, 2 years of doing the hard work that you should have done a long time ago." Dean ended the call. The screen went dark. David sat in the booth, emptied, hollowed out. Whatever shell he'd been living inside for 34 years had cracked open, and what was left didn't look like a predator anymore. It looked like a scared, broken man who had finally run out of places to hide. Dean pulled a card from his vest, set it on the table. "This is a therapist, Dr. Sarah Martinez. She specializes in this. You have an appointment Monday at 10 a.m. Her office is in Westbrook. You'll go every week. You'll check in with us every Sunday night. You'll provide proof of attendance." David took the card, stared at it. "If you miss a session without a valid excuse, the recording goes public. If you approach any woman inappropriately, not just Maya, any woman, the recording goes public. If you move without telling us, the recording goes public." "I understand." "Do you? Because this isn't a game, David. This isn't a slap on the wrist. This is your one chance to become something other than what you've been. Most people don't get that chance. The women you stalked certainly didn't get a choice about what happened to them." David nodded, slowly, like his head weighed 100 pounds. "I understand." "Then leave. Go home. Stay away from this diner. Stay away from Maya. Start packing because in 30 days you need to be gone." David stood up. His legs barely held him. He didn't look at Maya as he walked toward the door. Couldn't look at her. But at the door he stopped. "I'm sorry." 2 words thrown over his shoulder. Maya didn't respond. He pushed through the door and disappeared into the night. One of Dean's brothers followed him out to make sure he actually left. The diner fell silent again. Maya realized she was still holding the broken handle of the coffee pot. Her hand had gone completely numb. Dean walked over to her, slowly, giving her space. "It's over," he said quietly. "He's not coming back." Maya looked at him. This stranger in leather and patches who had done what the police wouldn't, what her boss wouldn't, what everyone in her life had told her was impossible. "Why?" Her voice came out hoarse, barely above a whisper. "Why did you help me?" "You don't know me. You don't owe me anything." Dean was quiet for a long moment. "My sister," he finally said. 20 years ago. Same thing happened to her. She reported it. They told her she was overreacting, told her to wait until he did something. He paused. He did something. Broke into her apartment in the middle of the night. She barely survived. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. She hadn't even realized she was crying. "I'm so sorry. I was overseas. Couldn't protect her. By the time I got home, she had scars on her arm and nightmares that lasted years. I made a promise that night, never again, not to anyone. So you help strangers. I help people the system fails, people who are screaming for help while everyone tells them to be patient, to document, to wait until something bad enough happens that it counts." He looked at her with eyes that had seen too much and decided to do something about it. "I wasn't going to let what happened to Linda happen to you." Maya set down the broken coffee pot handle, and for the first time in 3 weeks, she took a full breath. Maya's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She stood behind the counter glass, and coffee still pooled at her feet, watching the door where David Keeler had disappeared. Part of her expected him to come back. Part of her would always expect him to come back. "Here." Miguel pressed a warm towel into her hands. She hadn't even noticed him leave and return. "Sit down. I'll clean this up." Maya couldn't sit. Her body was locked in place, running on 3 weeks of adrenaline that had nowhere to go. Dean was talking quietly with his 2 brothers near the entrance. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she caught fragments. 20 minutes out. Confirmed he's heading north. Stay on him until county line." They were tracking David, making sure he actually left. Maya realized she was staring at Dean, this stranger who had appeared out of nowhere and dismantled the monster she'd been running from for 3 weeks. Who was he? How did he know all those things about David, about Jessica and Emily, about the woman in Seattle who never even filed a report? Dean finished his conversation and walked back toward her. His boots were heavy on the linoleum, but something about the way he moved felt careful, deliberate, like he understood she might spook. "You should sit down." "I can't." He nodded. Didn't push. "I have questions," Maya said. "I know you do. How did you know all that about him, about those women? The police couldn't find any of that. I tried to research him myself. There was nothing." Dean pulled out a chair from the nearest table and sat down, put himself at her level instead of towering over her. "It's a long story. I've got time. My shift ended 2 hours ago." Something almost like a smile crossed his face. Almost. "You remember what I told you about my sister, Linda, 20 years ago? She didn't just survive what happened to her. She built something." Maya frowned. "Built what?" After the attack, while she was recovering, Linda started connecting with other survivors online. Women who'd gone through the same thing. Women whose stalkers had followed them across state lines, started over with clean slates, found new victims. He paused, making sure she was following. The legal system treats each case as separate. A restraining order in New York doesn't mean anything in Oregon. A dropped charge in Portland doesn't show up in a background check in Seattle. These men, they learn to move, to disappear, to start fresh. So Linda started tracking them. Started small, just a private group for survivors to share information. Names, photos, patterns, license plates, warning each other. Maya felt something cold run down her spine. "That's how you knew about David?" "The network flagged him 3 years ago. When he moved here, we got an alert. When he started showing up at this diner, we got another one." "Wait." Maya held up a hand. "You knew. Before I said anything to you, you already knew he was stalking me." Dean met her eyes. didn't flinch. Yes. Then why didn't you do something sooner? I spent 3 weeks terrified. 3 weeks thinking I was going crazy. 3 weeks. We were watching. We had to be sure. Sure of what? Sure it was escalating. Sure you were in real danger. We don't intervene unless we have to. If we moved too early before he crossed certain lines, it could have blown back on you, made him more careful, made him wait longer before he struck. Maya wanted to be angry. Part of her was angry, but a bigger part understood. You were waiting for him to show his hand. We were waiting for evidence. Not for the police, they don't care about evidence until someone's already hurt. Evidence for him. So when we confronted him, he'd know we weren't bluffing. He'd know we had everything. Maya sank into the chair across from Dean. Her legs finally gave out. How many? She asked quietly. How many what? Women. How many women has this network protected? Dean was quiet for a moment. Over 200. Confirmed cases. Probably more we don't know about. 200 women. 200 Mayas. 200 women who had gone to the police and been told to wait, to document, to be patient. And the men, the stalkers. What happens to them? Most take choice one. They leave. They move. They know we're watching, so they stay quiet. Some of them actually change, not because they want to, but because they're afraid of the consequences. And choice two. How many take choice two? Dean looked at her, something complicated moving behind his eyes. David's the fourth. In 20 years, only 4. It takes a certain kind of person to face what they've done. Most predators aren't capable of it. They've built such elaborate lies in their own heads that the truth would destroy them. And the 4 who chose it did it work. 3 of them completed the program. They're still being monitored, but they haven't reoffended. And the 4th, Dean's jaw tightened. He failed. 6 months in, violated the terms. What happened? His recording went everywhere. He lost his job, his family, his reputation. Last I heard, he's living in his car in another state. Can't get hired anywhere because his face is all over the internet. Maya thought about David, about the way he'd broken down in that booth, about the tears and the shaking and the desperate promise to be different. Do you think David will make it? I don't know. That's the honest answer. Some people can change. Some people are too broken. We won't know which one David is for 2 years. And if he fails, then at least he won't be able to hurt anyone else without everyone knowing exactly what he is. Maya sat with that for a long moment. The weight of it. The strange, terrible justice of it. The police could arrest you, she said, for what you did tonight, for tracking people, for confronting them, for they could, they won't. How do you know? Because we're careful, because we never touch anyone, never threaten violence. We just talk. We present evidence. We offer choices. Nothing we do is technically illegal. Technically. Technically is all that matters to the law. They can't arrest people for looking, for sitting in public places, for following someone's bus. That's what they told you, remember? Maya remembered. So you use their own rules against them. We use the gaps, the places where the law fails, the spaces where predators hide. We shine a light into those spaces and watch them scatter. The diner door opened. One of Dean's brothers came back in. He's past county line, heading home. Looks like he's actually going to comply. Dean nodded. Keep someone on him tonight, just in case. Already arranged? Maya watched this exchange, the efficiency of it, the coordination. How many people are part of this network? Nationwide, around 400. Not all bikers, not all men. About 40% are survivors themselves. Survivors. Women who went through what you went through, what Linda went through. They got out the other side and decided to help others. They're the ones who do most of the watching, the tracking, the information gathering. Maya thought about that, about women who'd been victimized becoming the ones who protect other women. That's how you got to Emily and Jessica. They've been part of the network for years. When David's name came up again, they volunteered. They wanted to face him, wanted to be part of the solution. That must have been terrifying for them. It was, but they said it was worth it. They said looking into his eyes, making him see them as human beings instead of targets, it gave them something the legal system never could. What? Closure, not forgiveness, not even healing exactly, just closure. The knowledge that he finally understood what he'd done. Maya thought about her own terror over the past 3 weeks. The sleepless nights, the panic attacks, the feeling of being watched every second of every day. Could she face David like that? Look him in the eye and tell him what he'd stolen from her? She didn't know. She wasn't sure she wanted to know. What happens now? She asked. Now you go home, you sleep, you try to remember what normal feels like. And David, we watch him. Monday he starts therapy. Sunday he checks in, every week for 2 years. And me, am I part of this now, the network? Dean studied her face. That's up to you. Some women walk away after it's over, put it behind them, move on with their lives. That's okay. That's healthy even. And others can't walk away. They've seen what's out there. They know how the system fails, and they decide they want to do something about it. Like Linda. Like Linda. Maya didn't know what to say, didn't know what she wanted. 24 hours ago, her biggest worry had been making it to the bus stop without being followed. Now she was sitting across from a Hell's Angel learning about a secret network of survivors who protected women the law couldn't. It was too much. All of it was too much. I need to go home. I know. Dean stood up. We'll follow you. Make sure you get there safe. Maya started to protest, then stopped. After everything that had happened tonight, a motorcycle escort didn't seem so strange. Okay. And Maya. She looked up at him. Keep my number. If anything happens, if you see David again, if someone else makes you uncomfortable, if you just need to talk, call. Day or night. He handed her a card. Plain white. Just a phone number. We don't forget the people we help. You're not alone anymore. Maya took the card, held it like it was something precious. Thank you. The words felt inadequate, pathetically small compared to what he'd done. I don't know how to, I can't even, you don't have to thank me. This is what we do. But you could have looked away. Everyone else did. Dean's face changed. Something old and painful surfacing for just a moment. Looking away is easy. My sister almost died because people looked away. I made a choice a long time ago that I would never be one of those people. He moved toward the door. His brothers were already outside, engines warming up. Come on, let's get you home. Maya grabbed her bag, her coat, stepped over the broken glass and spilled coffee she'd forgotten was there. Miguel caught her arm as she passed. You going to be okay? I don't know, maybe. Eventually. He nodded. I'll clean up. Don't worry about coming in tomorrow if you need the day. Dennis will fire me. Let him try. I'll tell him I called in sick too. Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. Thanks, Miguel. Get some rest. You earned it. She walked out into the night. 3 motorcycles were waiting in the parking lot. Dean sat on the largest one, helmet in hand. The bus stop's clear now. Your choice bus, or we ride alongside it. Maya looked at the empty spot where David's sedan had been parked for 3 weeks. Gone. Just an empty stretch of pavement under a streetlight. Bus? She said. But thank you for the offer. We'll follow anyway, just to be safe. The bus came 12 minutes later. Maya got on, found her usual seat. When she looked out of the window, 3 motorcycles were pulling out of the diner parking lot, falling into formation behind the bus. For the first time in 3 weeks, Maya didn't look over her shoulder. She didn't need to. She got off at her stop, walked to her apartment building, fumbled with her keys because her hands were still shaking, but a different kind of shaking now. Relief instead of terror. Before she went inside, she turned back. Dean was parked at the curb. He raised a hand. She raised hers. Then the engines roared and they disappeared into the darkness. Maya locked her door, checked it twice. Old habits. She walked to her window and looked out at the street below. No dark blue sedan, no shadow watching, just quiet. She stood there for a long time, turning Dean's card over in her fingers. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You're safe now. Try to sleep. And if you ever want to learn more about the network when you're ready, not before you know how to reach me. D." Maya sat down on her bed. For the first time in 3 weeks, she cried. Not from fear, not from panic, from relief so overwhelming it felt like drowning in reverse. She thought about Jessica and Emily, about the courage it must have taken to face David on that screen, to look at the man who had terrorized them and demand answers. She thought about Linda, about a 19-year-old girl who survived something terrible and turned her pain into protection for others. She thought about Dean, about a man who rode a motorcycle and wore leather and looked like someone most people would cross the street to avoid. A man who had spent 20 years making good on a promise to his sister. And she thought about herself. 3 weeks ago, she had been invisible. A waitress at a roadside diner putting herself through school, dreaming small dreams, because big ones felt impossible. Now she knew about a network. A secret army of survivors and protectors operating in the shadows, doing what the system refused to do. Over 200 women saved. And David Keeler might be the 4th to actually change. Maya looked at the card in her hand one more time. Then she put it in her wallet. Not because she was ready, but because someday she might be. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was her mother. "Baby, it's late. You okay? You usually call after your shift." Maya answered. "Mama, I'm okay. I'm actually okay." "What happened?" "You sound different. Something happened tonight. Something I can't fully explain yet. But the man, the one who was following me, he's gone. He's not coming back." Silence on the other end. "How the police?" "No, not the police. Someone else. Someone who actually listened." "Who?" Maya thought about how to explain Dean. The leather vest, the Hells Angels patches, the quiet, measured voice that carried more authority than any badge. "An angel, Mama. I know that sounds crazy, but tonight an angel walked into my diner and saved my life." Her mother was quiet for a long time. "Thank God. Thank God someone finally listened." "Yeah, thank God." They talked for another hour. About nothing and everything. About Maya's classes and her brother's new job, and whether sweet potato pie was better with or without marshmallows. Normal things. Small things. The kind of things Maya had stopped being able to care about when every ounce of her energy was spent surviving. When she finally hung up, it was almost 4 in the morning. She should have been exhausted. Instead, she felt awake, alive, like she'd been underwater for 3 weeks and had finally broken the surface. She pulled out the card again, looked at the phone number. Not yet. But someday. She had 2 years to decide. 2 years, while David Keeler went to therapy and checked in and tried to become someone different. 2 years to figure out who she wanted to be. The waitress who put it behind her and moved on, or the woman who stepped into the light and helped others. Maya set the card on her nightstand, and for the first time in 21 days, she slept. 6 months passed. Maya kept working at Rosie's diner. Same shift, same customers, same coffee that was just okay. But everything felt different now. Old Carl still sat in booth 3 every Thursday. Maria still brought tamales on holidays. The truckers still came and went like clockwork. But Maya didn't flinch anymore when the bell above the door chimed. She didn't check the parking lot every 15 minutes. She didn't hold her breath walking to the bus stop. David Keeler was gone. Not just from the diner, from her life, from her nightmares. He'd moved 2 weeks after that night, somewhere upstate. The network confirmed it. They sent Maya updates every month without her asking. Session 12 completed, no violations. Progress noted by therapist. Session 16 completed, showing genuine engagement with treatment. Session 20 completed. Therapist reports breakthrough regarding childhood trauma. Maya read each update, filed them away, tried to feel something. She wasn't sure what she felt. Relief, satisfaction, forgiveness. None of those quite fit. Mostly she felt tired. 3 weeks of terror had drained something from her that 6 months of safety couldn't fully restore. But she was healing. Slowly. The way bones knit back together after a break. And she was changing. She'd called Dean twice in those 6 months, both times just to check in, to hear his steady voice confirm that the world hadn't fallen apart while she wasn't looking. The second call lasted 2 hours. She told him about her classes, about switching her major from early childhood education to social work, about wanting to help women like her. Women the system failed. Dean listened, didn't push, didn't recruit. "When you're ready," he said. "If you're ever ready. No pressure." Maya wasn't ready, but she was getting closer. The call came on a Thursday afternoon. Maya was between shifts studying at a coffee shop near campus when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. 6 months ago she would have. Every unknown call could have been important. Could have been someone finally willing to help. Now she had the luxury of ignoring things, but something made her pick up. "Hello, Maya Johnson." A woman's voice. Soft but steady. "Who's asking? My name is Linda Thompson. I think you know my brother." Maya's coffee cup stopped halfway to her mouth. Linda. Dean's sister. The woman who had built the network from her hospital bed 20 years ago. "I know who you are." "Good. That saves time. Can we meet?" "Meet, Iwen. Today, if possible. There's something I need to show you." Maya looked at her textbooks spread across the table, her half-finished essay on trauma-informed care. "Where? I'll send you the address. It's not far from campus." "Can you tell me what this is about?" Linda was quiet for a moment. "It's about you, Maya. About who you might become. But only if you want to see it." The call ended. 30 seconds later, an address appeared on Maya's screen. She stared at it for a long time. Then she packed up her books and walked out the door. The address led to a small office building on the edge of town. Nothing remarkable about it. Could have been a dentist's office or an insurance agency. Maya pushed through the front door. A woman was waiting in the lobby. She was in her early 40s. Warm eyes, gray threaded through dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Dressed like someone who worked at a non-profit professional, but comfortable. She didn't look like someone who had survived a violent attack. She didn't look like someone who had built a secret network from nothing. She looked like someone's favorite aunt. Maya. Linda. They stood there for a moment, sizing each other up. Thank you for coming. I almost didn't. I know. That's why I didn't explain on the phone. You would have talked yourself out of it. Maya couldn't argue with that. Come on. I want to show you something. Linda led her down a hallway to a back office. The door had no sign, no nameplate. Inside was a room that looked like mission control. 3 large monitors mounted on the wall. Maps with pins, photos, timelines. A whiteboard covered in names and dates and connecting lines. 2 women sat at computer stations typing rapidly. They glanced up when Maya entered, nodded, then went back to their work. What is this? This is the nerve center. Everything flows through here. Reports, sightings, patterns. We track over 300 active cases at any given time. Maya walked closer to the monitors. Faces she didn't recognize. Cities she'd never been to. Stories she would never know. 300. That's just the active ones. Situations we're monitoring. Cases that might need intervention. The resolved ones, the women we've already helped, those number in the thousands. Thousands. Linda nodded. 20 years, Maya. 20 years of doing what the system refuses to do. We started with 12 survivors in a Facebook group. Now we're in 37 states, over 400 volunteers, partnerships with shelters, hospitals, therapists who understand. Maya felt something shifting in her chest. The same feeling she'd had that night in the diner. The feeling that the world was bigger and stranger and more complicated than she'd ever imagined. Why are you showing me this? Because I think you're ready to be part of it. Maya turned to face her. Ready? I'm a waitress. I'm still in school. I don't know anything about. You know what it feels like to be hunted. You know what it feels like to scream for help and be told your fear isn't evidence. You know what it feels like to be invisible. Linda's eyes were steady, calm. But underneath the calm was something fierce. That knowledge is worth more than any degree, worth more than any training. Because the women we help, they need to look into someone's eyes and know they're believed. You can give them that. Maya's throat tightened. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You survived 3 weeks of terror. You kept going to work, kept catching that bus, kept living your life while a predator watched your every move. Don't tell me you're not strong enough. That wasn't strength. That was survival. What do you think strength is? Maya didn't have an answer. Linda gestured to the 2 women at the computer stations. Sarah was stalked by her ex-husband for 3 years. He violated 4 restraining orders. The police arrested him twice. He was out within hours both times. She joined the network after we helped her disappear. Now she runs our western region. She pointed to the other woman. Michelle's daughter was murdered by a stalker in 2018. She couldn't save her own child, so she decided to save other people's children. She's helped relocate over 60 women in the past 5 years. Maya looked at them differently now. Not just volunteers, survivors, mothers, women who had stared into the darkness and decided to light a candle instead of curse it. I don't know what I have to offer. You have yourself, Maya, your story, your eyes, your willingness to believe. Linda stepped closer. I'm not asking you to commit today. I'm asking you to consider it. Take a week, take a month. But when you're ready, if you're ever ready, there's a place for you here. Maya looked around the room one more time. The monitors. the maps, the faces of women she'd never met, who had been saved by other women they'd never met. A chain of survivors protecting survivors. Can I think about it? Of course, that's all I'm asking. They walked back to the lobby together. At the door, Linda stopped. Dean told me what you said, that you want to help women like yourself. Women the system fails. I meant it. I know you did. That's why I called. Linda put a hand on Maya's shoulder. Gentle, but firm. You're already stronger than you think, Maya. You just haven't figured it out yet. Maya walked out into the afternoon sun. Her head was spinning. Too much information, too many possibilities. She'd come to this town to work her way through school, to become a kindergarten teacher, to live a small, quiet life where nothing bad ever happened. Now she was standing on the edge of something enormous, a secret network, hundreds of volunteers, thousands of women saved, and a place waiting for her if she wanted it. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Call me when you can. Your brother has news. Maya called immediately. Her brother Darnell had been talking about proposing to his girlfriend for months. Maybe this was it. Mama, what's Darnell's news? He got the promotion. Regional manager. Can you believe it? My baby boy running a whole region. Maya smiled. That's amazing. Tell him I'm proud. You sound different. What's going on with you? Nothing. Just thinking about the future. The future's a big place, baby. Don't get lost in it. I won't, Mama. I promise. She hung up and stood on the sidewalk for a long time, thinking about futures, about choices, about who she wanted to become. 2 weeks later, Maya made her decision. She called Linda. I'm in. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Linda laughed, the first time Maya had heard her laugh. That's exactly the right answer. Come by tomorrow. We'll start your training. Training turned out to be intense. 3 months of learning the network's protocols, how to identify stalking patterns, how to document evidence, how to approach victims without scaring them, how to coordinate with local chapters, how to stay invisible while making sure nobody else had to feel that way. Maya absorbed it all. She was a natural, Linda said. Her years of reading customers at the diner had taught her how to spot discomfort from across a room, how to know when someone's smile didn't reach their eyes, how to sense danger before it announced itself. You see people, Linda told her. Really see them. That's rare. By the time Maya finished training, she was working cases. Small ones at first. Monitoring. Watching. Being an extra set of eyes when someone reported feeling unsafe. Her first real intervention came 8 months after that night at Rosie's. A woman named Keisha, 28 years old. Single mother of 2. Her ex-boyfriend had been showing up at her workplace for 6 weeks. The police had been called twice. Both times they told her the same thing they'd told Maya. He hasn't broken any laws. Maya met her at a coffee shop. Just 2 women talking. Nothing suspicious. How did you find me? Keisha asked. Her eyes darted to the door every few seconds. Classic hypervigilance. Someone saw you file a police report. Someone who's part of a network that watches for cases like yours. A network, women helping women. That's the simplest way to put it. Keisha's hands were shaking around her coffee cup. I don't understand. Why would strangers help me? Maya reached across the table and steadied her hands. Because we've all been where you are. Scared, ignored, told that our fear isn't enough. And we decided that if the system won't protect us, we'll protect each other. Keisha started crying. I thought I was crazy. Everyone keeps telling me I'm overreacting. He's just visiting. He's just saying hello. He's not doing anything wrong. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. And he's doing something wrong even if the law doesn't recognize it yet. What can you do if the police won't help? The police have rules. We have different rules. Maya explained the network, the monitoring, the documentation, the interventions. Keisha listened with wide eyes. And this works. You've actually helped people, over 200 women. Not one of them has been hurt by their stalker after we got involved. Not one. Not one. Keisha broke down completely then, sobbing into her hands while Maya held her. When she finally caught her breath, she asked the question Maya had been waiting for. What do I have to do? Just let us help. We'll handle the rest. The intervention happened 3 days later. Different style than Maya's case, Keisha's ex was more volatile, more dangerous. They didn't confront him directly. Instead, they gathered evidence. Photos, videos, testimonies from coworkers who'd witnessed his behavior. Then they delivered it all to his parole officer. Because here was the twist. Nobody had discovered Marcus Williams had a record. Assault charges from 5 years ago. A restraining order violation that should have sent him back to prison, but got pleaded down to probation. He was still on probation. And showing up at his ex-girlfriend's workplace 53 times in 6 weeks was a clear violation. Marcus was back in prison within a week. Keisha cried again when Maya told her. Different tears this time. I thought I was going to die. I really thought every night I looked at my kids and wondered if tomorrow would be the day She couldn't finish. Maya held her. You're safe now. He's not getting out for 3 years. And when he does, we'll be watching. How can I ever thank you? Live your life. That's how you thank us. Live your life and raise those beautiful kids, and never forget that you deserved to be protected. Maya went home that night feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. This was what she was meant to do. Not teaching kindergarten, not serving coffee. This. Finding women in the shadows and pulling them into the light. She called Dean. I handled my first case today. I heard. Linda told me. It felt right. Like everything that happened to me happened for a reason. Dean was quiet for a moment. That's a dangerous way to think, Maya. What happened to you wasn't fate. It wasn't destiny. It was a predator choosing a victim. Don't romanticize it. Maya bristled. I'm not romanticizing. I know you're not trying to, but I've seen it happen. Survivors who convince themselves their trauma was some kind of gift, some kind of calling. It's a trap. Then what should I think? Think that something terrible happened to you. Think that you survived. And think that you're choosing to use your survival to help others, not because the universe planned it that way, but because you're a good person, making a good choice. Maya let that sink in. Is that what you tell yourself about Linda? I tell myself that my sister almost died because people failed her. And I tell myself that I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure other people don't fail the way those people did. That's not so different from what I said. It's completely different. I'm not grateful for what happened to Linda. I'll never be grateful. I'm angry. I'll be angry for the rest of my life. But I'm channeling that anger into something productive instead of letting it destroy me. Maya thought about her own anger. The rage she still felt when she remembered Dennis telling her to ignore David. The police telling her to wait. Everyone telling her that her fear wasn't enough. Anger, she said slowly. I can work with anger. Good. Anger is fuel. Just don't let it burn you from the inside. They talked for another hour. About cases. About the network. About the strange family Maya had found herself part of. When she hung up, she felt clearer than she had in months. Not healed, not whole, but pointed in a direction. and moving forward. 2 weeks later, she got an update about David Keeler. Session 36 completed. Therapist notes significant progress. Patient demonstrating genuine empathy and understanding of harm caused, continuing to meet all requirements. Maya read it twice. 36 sessions. 9 months of therapy. 9 months of check-ins and accountability, and doing the hard work of becoming someone different. She thought about the man who had sat in booth 9 night after night, watching her, following her, stealing her peace 1 hour at a time. And she thought about the man crying in that booth while Jessica and Emily confronted him with the truth of what he'd done. Were they the same person? Could someone really change that much? She didn't know. But for the first time, she hoped. Not forgiveness, she wasn't there yet. Might never be there. But hope. The fragile, stubborn belief that people could become better than their worst moments. Maya saved the update, filed it away with all the others, and went back to work. 18 months after that night at Rosie's diner, Maya Johnson stood in a courtroom she never expected to enter. Not as a victim, not as a witness, as an advocate. The woman beside her was trembling so hard the papers in her hands were rattling. Her name was Grace, 31 years old, mother of 3. Her husband had put her in the hospital twice before she finally found the courage to leave. "I can't do this," Grace whispered. "He's right there. He's looking at me." Maya didn't look at the husband. She kept her eyes on Grace. "Yes, you can. You've already done the hardest part. You survived. You got out. This is just the last step. What if they don't believe me?" "They'll believe you. We have evidence. We have documentation. We have everything we need." He has a lawyer. A good one. His family has money. "Grace." Maya's voice was firm but gentle. "Look at me." Grace looked. 18 months ago, I was exactly where you are. Terrified. Convinced nobody would help. Convinced the system would fail me. And you know what the system did fail me? The police failed me. My boss failed me. Everyone failed me. Then how? Someone stepped up. A stranger. Someone who didn't have to help me but chose to anyway. And now I'm choosing to help you. That's how this works. We keep choosing each other. Grace's shaking slowed. Not stopped. But slowed. What if I forget what to say? Then I'll be right here to remind you. Every step of the way. The judge called Grace to the stand. Maya watched her walk forward on unsteady legs, watched her place her hand on the Bible, watched her sit down and face the man who had broken her ribs and her spirit and nearly broken her children. And then Grace started talking. She didn't forget what to say. She remembered everything. 2 hours later, the judge granted a permanent restraining order. Full custody to Grace. Supervised visitation only if the children wanted it. Grace collapsed into Maya's arms outside the courthouse. "Thank you. Thank you. I don't know how to—" "You don't have to thank me. You did the work. I just walked beside you. You did more than that. You made me believe I could survive this." Maya held her tight. This was why she did it. This moment. This feeling of watching someone reclaim their life. 37 cases in 18 months. 37 women who had been told their fear wasn't evidence. 37 women who had found their way to the network and discovered they weren't alone. Maya had become one of Linda's best advocates. Her name was known in shelters across 3 counties. Women asked for her specifically because word had spread. Maya Johnson believed you. Maya Johnson fought for you. Maya Johnson had been where you were and made it to the other side. She'd graduated from community college 6 months ago. Her degree was in social work, just like she'd planned. But she'd turned down 2 job offers from legitimate agencies because the network needed her more. You could do both, Linda had told her. Work a regular job. Help us on the side. I can't do both halfway. Either I'm all in or I'm not. Linda had smiled. That's exactly what I said 20 years ago. Maya's phone buzzed as she walked Grace to her car. A text from Dean. Call me when you can. It's about David Keeler. Maya's stomach dropped. She'd received updates about David every month for 18 months. Therapy sessions completed, check-ins confirmed, no violations, no incidents. The last update had come just 2 weeks ago. Session 72 completed. Therapist recommends transition to monthly sessions. Patient has demonstrated sustained behavioral change. Sustained behavioral change. After everything the system had worked, choice 2 had worked. So why was Dean texting her now? She waited until Grace was safely in her car before calling. What happened? Dean's voice was strange, heavy with something she couldn't identify. David Keeler completed his program. 2 years of therapy, 2 years of check-ins. Not a single violation. I know. I got the updates. The recording is being deleted. That was the deal. Maya exhaled. Okay, so he's free. He's free. Why do you sound like that? Dean was quiet for a long moment. He wants to meet with you. The words didn't register at first. What? David Keeler. He's asked to meet with you, face to face. Part of his final step in therapy, making direct amends to the people he harmed. Maya's legs went weak. She leaned against her car. No, absolutely not. That's what I told him. You don't owe him anything. He doesn't get access to you just because he completed a program. Then why are you calling me? Because I wanted you to know the option existed. And because... Dean stopped. Because what? Because his therapist says it might help you too. Not him. You. She says sometimes facing the person who hurt you on your own terms with your own power, it closes something that stays open otherwise. Maya thought about the last 18 months. The nightmares that came less often, but still came. The way she still sometimes flinched when a man looked at her too long. The piece of herself she'd never quite gotten back. I don't need closure from him. I know. I've built a whole life since that night. I've helped dozens of women. I've found purpose. I don't need to see his face to know I survived. I know that too. Then why does part of me want to say yes? Dean let out a breath. Because you're human. Because trauma doesn't heal in straight lines. Because sometimes the thing that scares us most is the thing we need to do. What would you do if it was the man who hurt Linda? The silence stretched so long, Maya thought the call had dropped. He's dead, Dean finally said. Died in prison 6 years after they locked him up, so I never had to make that choice. Did that give Linda closure? No. She always said she wished she could have faced him, told him what he took from her, made him see her as a person instead of a target. Maya closed her eyes. Where would we meet? A conference room at his therapist's office. Controlled environment. His therapist would be there. I would be there. He can't touch. You can't approach. You can't do anything except sit and listen. And what would I say? Whatever you want, or nothing at all. You could walk in, look at him, and walk out. It's your choice, Maya. Every part of it is your choice. She thought about choice. About how David had stolen her choices for 3 weeks. about how she'd spent 18 months helping other women reclaim theirs. I need to think about it. Take all the time you need. She hung up and stood there in the parking lot for a long time. David Keeler wanted to see her. The man who had made her afraid to exist in her own skin. The man who had followed her, watched her, waited for her. The man who had sat in booth night after night, studying her like prey. He wanted to apologize. Part of Maya wanted to laugh. After everything, after the terror and the sleepless nights, and the way she still sometimes checked her rearview mirror for a dark blue sedan, he thought an apology would matter. But another part of her remembered something Linda had said during her training. Healing isn't about the person who hurt you. It's about you. What you need. What helps you move forward. If facing them helps face them. If never seeing them again helps choose that. The only wrong answer is letting someone else make the choice for you. Maya got in her car. She drove to Rosie's diner. She hadn't been back since quitting 18 months ago. Dennis had been furious when she handed in her notice, called her ungrateful, said she'd never find another job in this town. She'd found something better than a job. She'd found a purpose. The diner looked exactly the same. Same flickering neon sign, same red vinyl booths, same smell of coffee and fried food that hit you the moment you walked in. Maya walked in. Miguel was behind the counter now. He'd been promoted to day manager after she left. His face lit up when he saw her. "Maya girl, where have you been?" She hugged him tight. "Busy, helping people." "I heard. The network right Linda's thing. You know about that. Everybody knows. You're famous around here. The waitress who became a warrior." Maya laughed. "I don't know about warrior." "Well, I do. You want coffee on the house?" "I'd love that." She sat at the counter. The same counter where she'd stood trembling 18 months ago watching Dean confront David Keeler. The same counter where a broken coffee pot had shattered and changed her life. Miguel poured her coffee. "You okay? You look like you're thinking about something heavy." "The man who stalked me. He finished his program, 2 years of therapy. He wants to meet with me." Miguel's face darkened. "Hell no. You don't owe that man anything." "I know." "Then why are you even considering it?" Maya wrapped her hands around the warm mug. "Because 18 months ago I was a victim. I had no power. No choices. Someone had to save me. And now," she looked up at Miguel, "now I'm not a victim anymore. I have power. I have choices. And part of me wants to walk into that room and show him exactly who I've become." Miguel studied her face. "You want to prove something to yourself?" "Maybe. Or maybe I just want to look him in the eye and know, really know, that I'm not afraid of him anymore." "And if you are still afraid, what happens then?" "Then I'll know that too, and I'll keep healing anyway." Miguel shook his head. "You've changed, Maya. That scared girl who used to work here, she's gone." "She's not gone. She's just not alone anymore." Maya finished her coffee, tipped Miguel $20 on a free drink, and made her decision. The meeting was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon. Maya drove herself. She could have asked Dean to pick her up, but she wanted to arrive on her own terms. The therapist's office was in a quiet medical building. Professional. Neutral. The kind of place designed to make difficult conversations slightly less impossible. Dean was waiting in the lobby. "You sure about this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." "That's becoming your catchphrase." "I learned it from good people." They walked down the hall together. The conference room door was open. Maya stopped at the threshold. David Keeler was sitting at the far end of a long table. He looked different, thinner, older. The arrogance that had radiated from him 18 months ago was gone. What was left looked hollow, fragile. His therapist, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, stood to greet them. "Miss Johnson, thank you for coming. I'm Dr. Martinez. I know who you are. You've been sending me updates. I wanted you to see his progress. I wanted you to know this was genuine." Maya looked at David. He was staring at the table, couldn't meet her eyes. "He's been preparing for this conversation for months," Dr. Martinez continued. "But I want to be clear, you're in control here. You can leave whenever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can refuse to let him speak at all. Can he look at me?" Everyone went still. Maya kept her voice steady. "For 18 months he watched me, followed me, studied me like I wasn't human, and now he can't even look at me." David's head slowly came up. His eyes met hers. Maya felt something shift in her chest. Not fear, not anger. Recognition. She saw herself in his eyes. Not a target. Not prey, a person. "There you are," she said quietly. David's face crumpled. "I'm sorry." His voice cracked. "I'm so sorry. I know words don't. You're right, words don't fix anything." Maya walked to the table, sat down across from him. Dean remained standing by the door. "So why am I here, David? What do you want from me? I don't want anything from you. I wanted..." He stopped, took a breath. "I wanted you to see me. The real me. Not the monster who sat in that diner. Is there a difference? I hope so. I've spent 2 years trying to become someone different, someone who understands what he did, someone who will never do it again. Why should I believe that? You shouldn't. You don't know me. You have no reason to trust me. All I can do is tell you the truth and hope that someday, not today, maybe not ever, you'll believe I've changed." Maya studied his face. The man who had stolen her peace for 3 weeks. The man who had made her afraid of shadows and parking lots and her own reflection in darkened windows. He looked smaller now. Defeated. "You broke something in me," Maya said. "For 3 weeks, I wasn't a person. I was prey. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't think about anything except wondering if tonight was the night you'd finally do whatever you were building up to." David flinched, like she'd struck him. "I lost weight, lost focus in my classes, lost my sense of safety in my own skin. And even now, 18 months later, I still sometimes check my rearview mirror for your car." "I know," David whispered. "I know what I took from you. Dr. Martinez has helped me understand. I'm not finished." He went silent. "You broke something in me, but here's what you need to know." Maya leaned forward. "I built something better in its place. I joined a network of survivors. I've helped 37 women escape situations like mine. I changed my entire career, my entire life, because of what you did to me. So yes, you broke something. But I took the pieces and made something stronger, something that will protect women long after you're gone. You don't get credit for that. That's not your redemption story. That's mine." David was crying now, silent tears running down his face. "I know it's yours. I'm not trying to take anything from you. Not anymore." "Then why did you want this meeting?" "Because I needed to say it to your face. Not through a therapist. Not through a report. I needed to look at you, really look at you, and tell you that I see you now. You see me as a person, as a human being with a life and dreams and people who love her. When I sat in that diner, I didn't see any of that. I only saw what I wanted, what I thought I was owed. I made you into an object, something to be acquired, instead of someone to be respected. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. I can never undo that. I can never give you back those 3 weeks. But I can promise you, I swear on everything I have, that I will never do to another woman what I did to you. Maya sat back. She didn't know what she'd expected from this meeting. Anger, maybe. Vindication. Some dramatic confrontation that would put a neat bow on 18 months of healing. Instead, she felt something unexpected. Peace. Not forgiveness. She wasn't ready for that. Maybe she'd never be ready. But peace. The quiet certainty that this chapter of her life was truly over. I believe you, she said slowly. I don't trust you. I may never trust you. But I believe you're trying to be different. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. Yes, it is. Maya stood up. Dr. Martinez, thank you for making this possible. Dean, I'm ready to go. She walked to the door. At the threshold, she stopped. David. He looked up. If you ever slip, if you ever target another woman, if you ever even think about going back to what you were, I won't. Let me finish. He went quiet. If you ever slip, the network will know. We don't forget. We don't stop watching. And next time there won't be a conference room and a therapist. There will be consequences you can't imagine. I understand. Good. Then I hope I never see you again. Maya walked out. Dean fell into step beside her. How do you feel? I don't know yet. Ask me tomorrow. Fair enough. They walked out of the building into the afternoon sun. Maya stood on the sidewalk, letting the warmth wash over her. Dean, yeah. Thank you for everything. For that night at the diner, for the network, for believing me when nobody else would. You don't have to thank me. I know. I want to. Dean nodded, something soft in his hard eyes. You've become something extraordinary, Maya. I want you to know that. Whatever happens next, whatever you choose to do with your life, you've already made a difference that most people can only dream of. Maya smiled. I learned from extraordinary people. She hugged him. This gruff biker in leather and patches who had walked into a diner 18 months ago and changed everything. I should get back, she said. Linda has a new case she wants me to review. The network never stops. No, it never does. Maya got in her car. Before she pulled away, she looked in her rearview mirror one last time. Not checking for a dark blue sedan, checking for herself. The woman staring back looked different than the one who had whispered desperate words to a stranger 18 months ago. Stronger, surer. Someone who had walked through fire and emerged not unburned, but unbroken. She drove away, toward the network, toward the work, toward the next woman who needed to hear 4 simple words, I believe you. That night, Maya sat in her apartment and wrote in the journal she'd kept since starting her training. 18 months ago, I was a victim, a target. Someone who existed in the space between danger and disaster, waiting for someone to save me. Today, I'm a survivor, an advocate, someone who steps into that space and pulls other women out. David Keeler broke something in me. That's true. But he didn't destroy me. And in the end, the thing he broke became the door I walked through to become someone new. I don't forgive him. I may never forgive him, but I'm no longer defined by what he did. I'm defined by what I chose to do after. And that choice, that power, is something no one can ever take from me again." She closed the journal, looked out her window at the quiet street below. Somewhere out there, a woman was being watched. Followed. Hunted. She was telling someone she was scared, and they were telling her she was overreacting. Maya would find her. The network would find her. And when they did, they would say the words that changed everything. "We believe you. You're not alone, and we will stand with you until this is over. Sometimes angels wear leather. Sometimes justice lives outside courtrooms. Sometimes the people who save you are the ones the world tells you to fear. And sometimes if you're brave enough to reach out, and lucky enough to find the right hand reaching back, you discover that the thing you thought would destroy you becomes the foundation for everything you were always meant to build." Maya Johnson survived. Then she thrived. And then she became the person who helps others do the same. That's not just a story. That's a promise. And the network keeps its promises. Always.